This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 213, baby. Oh yeah. In today's episode I speak to Boom Boom Cannon about things that are overrated and underrated. It probably doesn't make much sense now, but we obviously talk about it in the show and hopefully it will make more sense. But one thing I would like to tell you before we start this episode is that I recorded this episode with Boom Boom after having 2 glasses of wine at lunchtime. That's right. That's how crazy I am. I usually don't drink at lunchtime. I don't normally drink anything. But, you know, I thought it's a Sunday, so fuck it. Let's go crazy. And that's what I did. And I probably was a bit light-headed, which is a nice term just to say, you know, you're not drunk, but you know you've had just 1 or 2 glasses of wine. So I notice I sound a very tiny little bit strange in the episode. Probably you wouldn't have noticed, but I just want to point this out to you just to see if you notice I seem to have a bit more difficulty speaking. I also swear a lot more, so swear when you use bad words, let's say. I also didn't know I had such strong feelings about brunch, which again is something you will find out more about in the show. I also make a grammatical mistake. I always like to point these out because I want to show you that native speakers make them too. There are actually 2 types of mistakes you can make in languages. One is when you actually just don't know the correct way and you make a mistake. And the other, we call it a slip of the tongue, when you do know the correct way, but the wrong word just comes out. And obviously, in this case, it was a slip of the tongue because I make a very stupid, simple mistake. But as I said, it's a common thing with native speakers, not just English native speakers, but in all languages. I guarantee if you recorded yourself for like 1 hour speaking in your native language, you would make a mistake. Well, maybe in 2 hours. Not because you don't know the correct way to speak, but just because you're talking quickly, words come out, maybe you've had 2 glasses of wine at lunchtime and sometimes the wrong word comes out. But people don't notice it with native speakers. That's the difference, because obviously in my native language, I speak confidently, and in your native language, you speak confidently, so no one notices it because no one cares about mistakes. So again, the message from this is mistakes are normal. But when you listen to the episode, try and notice the mistake. Then I will tell you what it is at the end of the podcast. Anyway, here is the conversation. I will speak to you all again at the end. Happy listening. Boom Boom Cannon, how are you today?
I am good, Martin. How are you?
Always fantastic, Boom Boom. Always fantastic. Another year older now and wiser.
Yeah,
you know?
Welcome to the 36 Club.
Well, that's the thing, actually, because, you know, you turned 36 a few weeks ago. Notice the term there. You turned 36 a few weeks ago. I was still 35, you know, a young whippersnapper. So there's a nice term to say you're very young. And I was thinking, how are we going to maintain this friendship with him being 36 and I'm 35? But now we're both 36, so we're on a level playing field, let's say. So
back on the same page.
There we go. Some real rock and roll vocabulary. Yeah. So everything just feels so right.
It was a tough few weeks there where I was 36, you were 35. It really felt like we didn't have much in common. Didn't know what to talk to you about.
I know it was,
but
it was difficult, but we've got through it. So a nice term there. We've survived it. So thank God. So now we should probably start the show. So how do we usually start the show, Boom Boom?
With a review.
And do you think we have a review?
We must do.
Very confident there, but yes, we do. Apparently this review is from a long time ago. Someone sent it to me because remember, I don't see all of the reviews, and it's a 5-star iTunes review, which is just wow. And it's from Nadia from Russia. And the title is Totally Worth It, brackets, it's free, exactly. I immensely enjoy listening to this podcast, and I hope it will be on air forever. Martin, please say thank you to Dan the man. He did a really good job here, and thank you, of course, for helping him. Cheers. From Russia with love, Nadia. So thank you for that, Nadia. No mention for you, Boom Boom, but this could have been before you were on the podcast, so who knows?
Let's say it was. Let's, for my own kind of confidence going into this podcast, let's say that it was.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, we don't want to start, like knocking your confidence immediately, do we? So maybe at the end I'll tell you that it was actually from last week, but that we'll save that to the end. So Boom Boom, for today's show, I recently watched a stupid Instagram video, which I often do when I'm sitting on the toilet. Does this happen to you as well? Like, you go to the toilet, you go for a poo, but the poo should really take like 2 minutes, but actually takes like 25 minutes, because then you end up watching stupid videos on Instagram and Facebook.
I'm more of a Twitter toilet kind of guy. And,
that's got a better ring to it, hasn't it? A better sound, like Twitter toilets. Yeah.
So it can take a while. It can take a while in there.
I have read actually that more intelligent people use Twitter, so that does explain why you use Twitter. But anyway, so this video was very simple. They gave the person a topic, and the person had to say whether that topic is underrated or overrated. Ooh. Okay. So I thought, that's perfect for a podcast. Let's do that.
Okay.
So the first one I've got here, quite topical. I don't even know if I'm actually pronouncing this right, because I hear this in Italy, is Joe Biden.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, I haven't been following the election so much. My love for politics is quite big, but there are a lot of words in politics that have more than 2 syllables, so I generally try to stay away from it. Easier. But is he underrated or overrated, Boom Boom? I've read some things. No one seems too sure by him.
Is he underrated or overrated? See, this is a kind of classification I'm quite used to thinking about in terms of football players.
Okay, just apply the same logic to this, yeah.
So Biden, I'd say, he's been playing well recently. He's in good form. He's had a great result. I'm going to say on the basis that the percentage of the vote that he got, and that he should have got more, in my opinion, I'm going to say he's underrated.
Okay, nice. So sorry, there is the option of rated, like,
okay,
well, which is what I'm going to go for. The only thing I will say about him is I've only heard him speak a few times, and he does seem like someone I would like. I don't know. I would like him to read me a bedtime story or something like that. I just feel he just seems like a nice guy.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, he does seem like a nice guy.
And just to tuck me in, there's a nice term there. When you tuck someone in, you just make sure the covers are over them. Then a bedtime story. Then he could touch me on the head, and I would say, "Good night, Joe."
Oh,
and that would be that.
Lovely scene.
Yeah.
He's probably got more important things to be doing at the moment. But
we don't know that. I will, Joe, if you're listening. I would like to be tucked in, okay, and read a bedtime story, preferably one about, I don't know, a charming prince. Okay?
Lovely stuff.
So the next one, interesting one here. So I just want a quick one-word answer.
Okay.
Walking barefoot on grass. Okay, so barefoot, without socks, without shoes, walking barefoot on grass.
Overrated.
Overrated. Oh, what are you talking about, man? Is when I do it, I feel like I'm one with nature, of just like feeling grass on my feet. I kind of feel like, I don't know, Tarzan walking through the jungle.
Exactly, and it's that kind of opinion that means it's overrated, because you're just walking on grass. You're overrating this, and that is what too many people do.
But that's for me, because as you know, I don't have such a great relationship with animals. So when I'm walking on grass, that for me is a jungle. That's as far into the jungle as I want to go. Just a bit of grass, just a bit of green grass.
I think my opinion is kind of tainted because the only time I've ever been stung by a bee was whilst walking on grass barefoot. And it was a bad experience.
Traumatic, I can imagine. So some nice vocabulary there where he said his view is tainted. So it's been affected, obviously, by that.
Affected negatively, yeah.
Of course, yeah, by that life-changing incident of being stung by a bee. I don't know why I'm laughing so much. It's just funny when you see people get stung by a bee. To be fair, hasn't happened to me in a while, mainly because I do try and keep my distance.
Yeah, for me as well, with a bee, I think I'm right in saying that they often die after they sting you. They basically
no one's winning from that,
exactly.
Are they?
So
you get hurt, the bee dies.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Well, exactly, and you've been stung, you're hurt, but then you're left with this just overwhelming sense of grief and guilt at the demise of the bee.
Yeah, grief is what you have like when someone dies, like a bee, obviously, like that takes years to get over that. So speaking about though barefoot on grass, it actually did remind me of a story that once I was with one of our close friends and I was walking barefoot on grass, but my feet were wet, and that's a sensation I don't like. That's too jungly for me. That's like, and I remember saying to him, "There's nothing worse than walking on grass with wet feet." And I remember him saying, "Well, there is." So I asked him, "Well, what then? What could be worse?" And his answer was starvation. And that did put things into perspective for me. So starvation is when you die of not having enough food. And I thought, is that worse than walking on grass with no shoes or socks? So, It's a tough one.
Yeah. Starvation's definitely... trying to decide whether things are overrated or underrated is really actually quite a difficult thing when thinking of something like starvation. I think we all agree it's bad, but it's probably even worse than that. So if anything, it's overrated.
Yeah, it's difficult to put that into a category. So maybe we should just actually move on to the next one, which is brunch. What do you think about brunch? Which, just in case people aren't familiar with this, I don't know how famous this is. It's a new kind of meal, I suppose. It's between breakfast and lunch. I personally think it's a whole load of bollocks. The whole thing just disgusts me. It's just a bullshit meal. What's your opinion, Boom Boom?
So you're saying overrated?
Yeah. It's just fucking bullshit. Like, it's just like, we're too cool for lunch or breakfast, so let's go for brunch. And like, I can just imagine it's like the classic thing, and then everyone puts like a picture on social media, like brunch with the girls. I just think it's just a load of bollocks. You just want to look cool because you're not having breakfast or lunch. It's just a made up fucking meal.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I think it's got a bit kind of too big for itself. Brunch. Yeah. It needs kind of reining in. It's got a bit too big for its boots. Yeah. It's overrated. Yeah.
Definitely. Some lovely vocabulary there. Reining in, just to say like, look, calm down. And again, if you get too big for your boots, you're kind of thinking, look, I'm amazing. Like brunch. Brunch needs to remember there are still more important meals in the day. Breakfast is my favourite meal. If you're asking, brunch will never beat breakfast. Your favourite meal, Boom Boom?
Yeah, I think breakfast as well, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. Start the day on the right foot, a nice term to say like, right, this is what we're doing. This is setting the tone for the day. I've got no time for brunch. No. Fuck off brunch if you're listening as well. So the next one, this is an interesting one, is conversing with strangers. So conversing, like speaking with strangers. What are your thoughts, Boom Boom?
Yeah, so generally something I tend to avoid. Particularly now that I live in a country where I can't guarantee I can kind of have that conversation in a language I can understand. So,
good point.
Yeah.
I actually think it's underrated. It's because, like you said, it's not something that people generally do. I think it can go either way. So there's a nice term to say. Basically, it can be a really good experience or a really bad experience. I've had the bad experiences of you get talking to someone. Notice you get talking to someone. It wasn't my plan, but You get talking to them, and then you're quickly thinking, how am I going to get away from this conversation? That's the negative part, but there's the good parts. I, for example, was on a run the other day, was running back from the beach, and then literally right in front of me, a woman had broken down. So like her car wasn't working. And I was thinking, fuck, am I going to have to stop?
I was going to say, that sounds like a situation you would normally avoid.
I was thinking, oh, fuck. And then she actually then said, can you help me? And I just wanted to say to her, look, you couldn't have found a person that knows less about cars than I do.
I can help you with some moral support, some encouraging words, but not with any sort of knowledge of how to fix a car.
Yeah, I've got a phone on me. Who should we call? But she actually lived very close. So she said, can you just help me like push the car back? And I mean, it was about 10 meters, how far we had to push it. And I actually did this quite successfully. Okay. And then for the rest of my run home, I thought I was like the Incredible Hulk. Like I was like, I'm going to just rip my clothes off when I get home because I'm such a powerful man. When I got home, Mrs. R&R was still sleeping actually. And then I kind of woke her up. I was like, what's that, babe? Nah, I've just been helping. So I've just been pushing a car down the street.
Been pushing some cars.
Just a standard morning for me. That's what I do now. Okay. So like in that, for example, that time it did go well. So it can go either way.
Yeah, although the way you've told that story, I sensed that it was less about speaking to a stranger and more about the pushing of the car. So.
Well, it all happened because I spoke to the stranger, Boom Boom. I could have just continued walking. I had my headphones on. I could have pretended not to hear and just kept going. But I decided to stop, had a good chat. I mean, the chat was very thin on the ground, let's say, very minimal. But we went straight to the point, and that was the main thing. So the next one here is going commando, which means going out wearing no underwear. So like you've got your jeans on, you've got no underwear on. And just letting your genitals go free. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just it. I mean, when I was about 18, again, I thought I was really cool. I was just like, I think I was going through like a hippie phase of like, who the fuck needs underwear, man? And so I was just like, yeah, I don't wear underwear anymore. I'm just such a cool guy. I don't need underwear. And then I quickly stopped because I noticed. Like if you go to the toilet and you don't clean things particularly well, you very quickly gain a kind of piss mark on your trousers, and that's not very cool, really, is it?
No, that's not cool. That is different. Piss marks are not cool. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, I don't even think the hippies like piss marks, do they?
No, I don't think so. No, you need that extra layer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just to absorb the piss marks.
Yeah.
Just absorb those piss marks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of many functions, actually, that underwear do. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even like a loose kind of boxer, though.
Yeah, same.
I'm a kind of pretty tight trunks kind of guy.
So boxers obviously like the underwear for men. Same. You want to keep that very much in place. Yeah, same. You don't want anything moving around.
Yeah.
I mean, when you wear the loose one, so loose obviously being the opposite of tight, you just think, what's the point? Just don't wear anything then.
Yeah, it's still just there's too much kind of dangling. Yeah,
dangling. Yeah, lovely. Just hanging. Just hanging there.
Dangling. Although apparently better for sperm count.
Okay, I have heard that. Well, I've got a baby on the way already, Boom Boom, so I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. Maybe something I need to still factor in.
Okay, so going from sperm, we're now moving to a different one, which is recording concerts with your phone. What do you think about that? You know, every time you go to a concert these days, everyone's got their phone out. Like, what are your thoughts?
That must be overrated.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's rarely comes out well, does it?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Has there ever been a good video at a concert where you watch that back and you think, oh, that's really good. That's I really enjoy watching that. It's just awful. Just sit back and watch the concert. What's the point in getting your phone out and recording it? Just watch it.
Yeah, you can't really capture it with a phone. And obviously all of the, when it's like a video.
Yeah.
And everyone's holding up the phone.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think we're old school Boom Boom, maybe, showing our age here. All the kids, maybe that's what they like to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the last concerts I went to, which was one of the best I've been to in a while, actually, was because it was a seated concert where everyone was completely silent. I mean, it wasn't like it was a guy.
I mean, that doesn't sound like the kind of concert.
Guitar music.
Okay.
But I thought this is how concerts should be done. Everyone's got their own seat. No one's talking. There was no recording going on that I could see.
A little bit different to concerts I remember going to you with in the past. Maybe when we watched Kasabian, for example, which I'll play a little bit of that song now. And when we were at that concert, we were definitely not sitting silently. It was very much jumping around. And it's a strange movement because it's almost like you want to start punching people as well, which is a strange feeling.
Yeah, we were having it, weren't we?
Oh, that's just such a great term. That's a term I just love. Just having it. It's difficult to describe. Just having a good time. Just going fucking mental. Just having it.
Yeah, we really let loose on that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let loose again. Going crazy. The term having it, actually, I was, again, at a concert once, obviously, in my younger days. And I specifically remember a man that sort of connected to a point earlier, speaking to a stranger, someone I kind of made friends with at a concert who I didn't know, who kept saying to me, "Are we having it or what?" And I remember going, "Yeah, we're having it." And then about 5 minutes later, again, "Are we having it or what?" "Still having it." Still. Again, I wanted to say, "Look, I'll just tell you when I stop having it."
We're not having it.
And then I'll let you know, because you keep asking me. It's getting quite annoying. So
Yeah.
when I stop having it, I'll just tell you.
No need to check back in with me in 5 minutes to see if I'm still having it. I'm planning on having it for the rest of this gig.
Exactly. So yeah, things have changed about how we enjoy concerts.
Yeah,
obviously.
They have.
Obviously these days.
Yeah.
So next one, pissing in the shower. What are your thoughts, Boom Boom?
Overrated.
Overrated. See, I think it's underrated, because
Really? Okay.
you get the people that like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, but it's just I don't understand why. Like, you're in the shower, water's going down there. Just put everything down there. Like, just go free.
Everything?
Well, not
Absolutely everything.
some things can't go down there.
Okay, everything that can.
Anything
Drain.
liquid.
Okay.
Liquid.
Yeah.
All liquids.
Spitting.
Just get it down there. Although, so that's the thing. You need to obviously be sure where you're doing it. Like, in your own home, that's fine. In someone else's home, like, maybe just don't tell them. Like, you're fine. But
Public showers at the swimming pool, definitely steer clear.
Definitely steer clear. So avoid it. When I was at university, we actually had like a communal shower. So obviously in common.
Yeah.
And one of my friends invited one of his friends. So we didn't know this person. And I remember he was in the shower and we were in the room next door. And I remember that his friend, who was actually in the shower, shouted, "Is it okay if I piss in the shower?" And remember, this is a communal shower that we all use. And I remember just thinking, why did you ask that? Just do it. There's no need to ask that question. Just do it. No one would have noticed. Now you've made it a thing. And now it's an awkward situation that now I know you've pissed in the shower when I go and have a shower. It's an unwritten rule. You can piss, but don't tell anyone.
So when you say communal there, just so I'm clear, you mean like that different people could use it at different times, or that a number of people could get in at once?
Yeah, actually, maybe that wasn't the right term, was it? Because a communal shower, I think, is
Kind
when
of a
you...
shit, like, I don't really know what the right word would be, but
Yeah.
like shared, but not at the same time.
Yeah. I definitely wasn't having showers at the same time.
Not like a sort of football post-match kind of environment.
Definitely not, especially because when you go to university, you're like 18, 19, and in the UK, obviously, you go and you don't know the people you're going to university with. So imagine that on the first day of university, when you're like 18, just jumping in a shower with some people you've never met before. As well, my floor in that first year was all boys. Maybe if some girls had been in there.
Different scene. Different scene.
But we showered. We used the same shower, but just not at the same time. I mean, the option was there to use it at the same time, but no one ever took that option.
Someone actually asked me here recently in like comparing Swedish like school life to English British school life about like PE and gyms and showering. I was trying to think what was the setup at our school.
That's a good point. I remember, so in fact, this is even worse than the example I just used, but when we were 11 years old, so like when I met you, Boom Boom, like literally first week of school, you're with people you don't know, and then after PE, then there were communal showers of having a shower at the same time. And I specifically remember the teacher watching, telling you to take everything off. And I'm not sure that sounds very strange these days, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? But then how long... Because I remember that from sort of early on in school. Did that continue right up until...
No, I think that kind of stopped. I think they only tried to make you like feel... Like, I think they just feel inadequate at the beginning. Yeah, and then
we must have showered after PE even once we were like a bit older.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because then once you feel more comfortable with it, they don't seem so bothered by it. But at the beginning, they're very adamant that you need to take off all of your clothes.
Yeah.
And show everything.
And obviously that's an age at which like people are developing at different times.
Oh, that's the thing, Boom. Being a hairy creature like I am, I had hairs then where other people didn't have hairs, and it was not a good experience, Boom Boom.
Pretty sure I didn't. Yeah.
You still haven't now, Boom Boom.
Yeah, we were very much opposite ends of the hair spectrum.
Totally.
In year 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year 7's when you're 11 years old.
Yeah.
So we have covered some really big topics
we should probably stop before this turns into like a kind of shared counselling what happened to us when we were 11 session.
Yeah, I'm just going to probably just cry myself to sleep thinking about those horrible memories now. But it has been a pleasure talking to you, Boom Boom.
Yeah, you too.
I've learned a lot.
As always.
So hopefully see you soon. Take care.
Yep, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was Boom Boom and me speaking about things that are overrated and underrated. So we're going to look at the R&R vocabulary, then I will tell you the grammatical mistake. At the beginning, I said that I was still a young whippersnapper when I was 35. So a whippersnapper is someone young. And then we said we're on a level playing field, back on the same page. Two nice terms to say we are equal again. And I said it was a difficult period, but we got through it, so we managed to survive. We said that Twitter toilet has a better ring to it, so a better sound. I spoke about Joe Biden, and I said I want him to tuck me in. That's generally something you do with children. You put them to bed, you put them in the bed, and you put the cover over them. That is tucking someone in. We spoke about walking barefoot on grass, so without socks or shoes. Boom Boom said his opinion of that is tainted because he got stung by a bee. So if it is tainted, it is affected in a negative way. We spoke about grief, which is what happens when someone dies, when you have that period of recovering, let's say. That's grief. And that's what happens, obviously, when a bee dies too. We spoke about starvation when you have no food. And often people use I am starving, so I'm extremely hungry. We spoke about brunch quite strongly. And Boom Boom said it needs reining in. So just to say, look, that's enough. Just calm down. And we said it's got a bit big for its boots. So if someone or something gets big for its boots, it's when they think they are better than they are. Then I spoke about breakfast and said it's my favourite meal of the day because I like to start the day on the right foot and set the tone for the day, so in the correct way. I spoke about strangers, of how it can go either way when you speak to them. So it can be a good or bad experience. It can go either way. I use the term when you get talking to someone. So that's when you don't necessarily intend to do it, but that's just what happens. You get talking to them. We had the term breakdown when I said a woman had broken down in her car. So when your car breaks down, it stops working, and then you have to stop people running on the street and ask them for help. I said the chat was a bit thin on the ground, so was very minimal, extremely minimal, very close to the ground. We had going commando, which remember is when you go out with no underwear on. We spoke about loose underwear. So loose is the opposite of tight. Notice the spelling, loose, L-O-O-S-E. That is not the verb lose, the opposite of win. This is a common mistake that English people make, but that's the type of mistake when people actually don't know the difference between those words. So there are two: loose, opposite of tight, and lose, opposite of win. Different spellings. We spoke about things dangling when you go commando. So when something dangles, it's just hanging there. So just think about what can hang if you have no underwear on. But the best term of the podcast, my favourite term, my new favourite term, because I had almost forgotten about it, is having it. We were having it. A lovely term just to say just going crazy. Notice it will always be having it. You wouldn't say we had it, for example. I suppose you could say we're going to have it. Often people say have it large, but it's just a lovely, lovely term just to say just going bloody crazy. Then Boom Boom said, yeah, we really let loose at that concert. We really went crazy. We really were having it at that concert. And then Boom Boom said, yeah, steer clear of basically urinating in public showers. So when you steer clear of something, you avoid it. So now to the grammatical mistake. When we were speaking about underwear and how useful underwear is, I said that that's just one of the many functions that underwear do. So that's obviously not the correct verb to say a function that underwear do. It just makes no sense. One of the many functions that underwear has is the correct way to say that, but because I was speaking fast, I had 2 glasses of wine, my head was a bit all over the place and the wrong word came out. But it's totally normal to do that. So if it happens to you, don't worry. But remember, all of the rock and roll vocabulary is on the website, rockandrollenglish.com, episode 213. I will see you all again in 2 weeks, people. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.